Hey, it's Pierre. So I've been playing a lot more squash with my kids, and I thought I'd do a quick video on how I got them into playing squash. Just give you my thoughts on that, and maybe it'll help if you're trying to get your kids interested or just wondering what it's like. This, by the way, is just my experience so far. My kids are now 8 and 10. And I think as they get older, and if you have children who are going on to play junior squash, you know, the feedback would be a little bit different. But this is how I'm looking at it for kids between 3 and 10 at the moment, which is where I've got experience so far. So they obviously know I play squash. They've grown up seeing me go to the courts and whatever. And squash is really fun to have as a game for your kids because you can play it in any weather. It's also self-contained. It's kind of perfect. You can, on a rainy day, take them to the courts. Luckily, here where I play at the Philly Squash Club, it's easy to get courts. And so I can just take them here, mess around in the court, and burn off some steam before going back home. It's actually a really great way to spend an hour or whatever. So when they were really young, it was hard to get them to, sit there and try to learn the shot. And I'm not very pushy in that way, and I don't really want to be. My style is more just like, I'm hoping that my kids will get into it if I just sort of bring them to the courts and eventually they'll catch on. So how to do it and kind of just have them grow into it. I started by having them play squawky. Squawky is a combination of squash and hockey. So basically one person or two kids stand, stand on that side of the court, and then either myself or one of the other kids stands on the other end, and you just take a racket and roll the ball back and forth, kind of like hockey, and you'll basically just roll it along the floor with your racket and try to roll it all the way to the other side, and you get a point if it hits the other wall, so they have to kind of stop it and send it back. And it's just a good way to gain some basic racket skills, because even just rolling the ball along the floor takes a certain amount of coordination and develops a bit of racket skill, gets them used to the court and kind of the environment, and it's kind of fun. And you can kind of play as hard or as not hard as you want. Yeah, so squawky is how I started. As we've gotten further along in time, what I've done is take them and hit with this one of these bouncy beginner balls. This one's a Black Knight. They call this the Easy Squash Ball, or EZ if you're from another part of the world. And this is really good. I've done a video on this which you can check out. It's very bouncy. It doesn't need a lot of warming up. You can just get out and rally really easily with this thing. What I've been doing with my daughter is we play something called all-wall ball. Came up with that about a couple months ago, where basically she's allowed to hit it to any wall. It doesn't have to be the front wall. So it just makes it kind of chaotic, and she kind of enjoys that, and allows her some flexibility to be creative and just hit to wherever she feels like it. And then over time, we've started to mix in just playing always to the front wall. And I try to do kind of condition games, like I'll play left-handed just to give me something to have fun and learn. I think it'd be kind of cool if I could learn to play left-handed. So I do that as a challenge to myself, and then I'll put other conditions, like I have to hit it above the cut line, and she can hit it anywhere she wants. And we do like tons of redos and other things to kind of not take it too seriously. Like if she didn't like the way the point turns out, she'll just be like, nah, we got to redo that. I say, fine. And then over time, my son, same thing, except he's using the regular ball now, the double dot. I think a single dot or some of the other colors of balls, like there's a red dot, and there's ones that are a little bigger, more colorful, they're more bouncy. I think those are good to use. There's a certain age where, and he's 10 now, there's a certain age where you kind of realize like, oh, everyone plays with the double dot and that's the thing. And so he doesn't really want to play with like the junior ball anymore, which is the same thing pretty much adults do also. You only want to use the one that the top players use, whatever. So fair enough. But I think it's good to mix in those other kinds of balls because then it's bouncier and you don't have to warm it up as much. It's a little more convenient and easier to play. Anyway, when I'm playing him, I'll just again play left-handed or do other things to kind of make it interesting, make it a challenge for me, but also make it sort of competitive for him. So So yeah, and in terms of what equipment to use, well, because I've been doing these racket reviews for squash stores. I have a bunch in my closet. I just pull out whatever. It really doesn't matter a whole lot in terms of choosing your racket. They're actually, I get a lot of questions on squash stores for recommendations for either inexpensive rackets or rackets for kids. And I'm gonna do a separate video on that. It's long overdue for me to do that. But basically just grab something cheap. That's what I would do. Don't spend over $100. You know, it's hard for a kid to break a racket, really. You know, they're not hitting that hard. You want to try to get something that's not too heavy. So I would try to get something that's like 135 pounds or less if you can. Just go on eBay or get a really old model, look on Amazon, or it depends on where you are in the world. But just snoop around until you find something that's, you know, less than $100 that they can hit with. You know, everyone's budget's a little different, but that's what I would do. I think that's all I really wanted to convey. Hopefully I've mixed in a few clips of me messing around with my kids and trying to keep it fun. I think that's the main thing is just letting them have a good time and getting them some exercise. And if they get interested in squash, all the better.
I'm winning.